I want to talk to high school students about what they should be doing, how they should be looking at this year, behind them, how they want to close the year out, how they want to think about the summer, and then eventually the following year. Hello, and welcome to the Admittedly podcast. My name is Thomas Caleel. I'm the former director of MBA admissions and financial aid for my alma mater, the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. In this podcast, I don't promise easy answers or quick fixes, but I will use my decades of experience to help you achieve your education goals. Now let's get started. Hello, and welcome to the Admittedly podcast. I'm your host, Thomas Caleel, and moving on in season 4, we are about halfway through the second semester. We're spring, we're at or after spring break, and I want to talk to high school students about what they should be doing, how they should be looking at this year, behind them, how they want to close the year out, how they want to think about the summer, and then eventually the following year. Now, obviously, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, that's going to be different for each of you, and we're going to talk about each of those years in turn. I'm going to give you some examples of students that I've worked with and things that we've done or changed or altered. For seniors, very, very important if you're still even sticking around. Got the matriculation deadline on May 1st. You need to lock in. You need to finish the year strong. Senioritis is a bad look, and you can lose your admission. All admission is conditional on you continuing your coursework and doing well. And so if you just let that slip, you are in danger of getting your offer rescinded. I've had to represent students who've done that in the past, who've had that happen in the past. It's not pleasant at all. I promise. Avoid it at all costs. If there are mitigating circumstances, that's fine, right? Life happens. You can reach out to the school, tell them what happened, medical condition, family issue. But in general, we want to try and stay locked in. All you need to do right now is keep your grades up, make it to graduation, enjoy the end of your high school career, and then you got a great summer ahead of you. But what do you do if you're not a senior? All right, let's take these sequentially. Freshmen. I want you to look back on the year and figure out, okay, what went well, what didn't go well? Did I build good study habits? Are there things, maybe I should talk to some tutors and learn some new habits, get ready for sophomore year? Because inevitably when I talk to sophomores, they are amazed at how vertical the learning curve is from freshman to sophomore year. Work gets harder, classes get more demanding. For those of you who are in advanced classes, it's really, really game time. Freshmen, you want to think about your summer. I want you to have some fun this summer, but I don't want that to be the only imperative. I want you to be very aware of the fact that you are exploring, experimenting, trying new things out. We want to see intellectual curiosity. Even if you're working a job, right? How are you making the most of that opportunity? What are you learning? What are you bringing? And what value are you contributing? What are you taking away from this summer experience? As you head into sophomore year, you're entering that ready to go. You're sharp, you're fresh. Like I said, you've got good study habits, and you're prepared mentally for this shift, this big academic shift. In terms of clubs, I want you looking at your extracurricular activities. I want you to be ruthless about what is serving you, what's not serving you. I want you to think about where you can make an impact or get leadership experience your sophomore year, if that's relevant. And I want you to lean into that your sophomore year. Sophomores, you just went through the grinder, right? Hopefully you were able to plan ahead and be thoughtful. And now you're saying, okay, I've got my study habits down. I'm doing well. I've addressed any inconsistencies. And I've got this down to a little bit of a science, because the good news is that you're almost done with a really hard year. The bad news is that junior year is even harder. Junior year is an absolute all-out fight, and you are going to be going from minute one. So everything you learned and took from freshman year to sophomore year, you need to double or triple that to get ready for junior year. This summer, sophomores, is critical. You had your freshman summer, you kind of explored, you did a few things. This summer, we need to lock in. We need to try things. We need to take chances. We need to be brave. Don't just truck along and do the same programs that everybody else is doing. Right? Find a way to get engaged. Find a way to get involved. You need to be doing creative, interesting things over the summer. Why? Because this is really where you're forming the foundation for junior summer. Junior summer is the most important summer, yes, but it's not like a strong junior summer can overcome everything else. So sophomore summer needs to be a progression, a building on freshman summer. You might be going in a different direction because you tried something freshman summer and didn't like it. I've always wanted to be a surgeon. I did something with some doctors and realized, not my thing. I faint at the sight of blood. Don't laugh. I've had students find that out the hard way. And so I want to be more of a bench scientist, a research scientist. So where do we go sophomore summer to kind of prove that out a little bit? We want to use every single minute of this summer. We want to make it count. We want to dig in. In terms of activities, end of sophomore year is really when I need you to be tough. I need you to be tough about your activities and really start paring away those that no longer serve you. Everything doesn't have to be lined up perfectly. You don't need to be this mindless automaton only doing things that line up on some thesis, but I do really need you to be thoughtful. I do need you to say, you know what? I like this club. I have friends in this club, but it's not worth the time. And I could take that time and do something that's much more meaningful to me. And that's really what I'm talking about when I'm talking about culling. I want you culling to things that genuinely excite you. And it may be something that is not 100% directly related to your major, but it's something that brings you joy, and that's perfectly fine. Just figure it out and lean into it. In terms of teachers, you're building good relationships with your teachers. If there are hiccups on your transcript, you're really digging in. This is your last chance to really kind of apply yourself and pull those year-long grades up to where we want them to be. As we transition now into junior year, and then junior year gets a little bit tricky, right? Junior year, and I hesitate to say it's the most important year because what I'm seeing sometimes from people in my DMs and comments is they're like, okay, I made all these mistakes, but now I'm going to fix everything junior year. And what should I do junior summer that's going to just wipe all that away? And the answer is it's not. There really isn't. So you don't need to be perfect start to finish, but if you're going for ultra competitive schools right now, it's fine to grow, it's fine to experiment, but you have to demonstrate excellence at every turn. Hopefully, sophomore summer, you've started your SAT prep. If your math is ready, I want all of you, freshmen, sophomores, and juniors, I want you reading. Read, read, read. I don't care what you read. It needs to be more than just what you're reading for school. Find things that you enjoy reading and read. It will pay off immensely on the SAT or ACT and boost your scores noticeably. So you should be reading every day. And the only way you're going to read every day is if you're reading things that just spark your imagination. Read cookbooks. Read anything that engages your brain and gets your brain thinking about how to quickly digest, process information. So juniors, as you're wrapping up this year, we really want to look at, all right, what did we do well? If we have classes maybe where we've bobbled a little bit and they're year-long classes, what are we doing right now to fix that? Are we engaging tutors? Are we meeting with our teachers? But if you follow me, of course, you've been meeting with your teachers regularly for the last 3 years because you're smart enough to know that teachers don't respond well to last-minute frantic appeals. They respond to students that they know, that they've seen, that they've worked with, that they've seen struggle, helped out all year. And they're like, yes, okay, you're making an effort, and so I'm going to make an effort for you. Juniors, also now is a good time for you to start thinking about what you should be doing in terms of recommenders. Many schools will have a process by which you approach your recommenders now, and they have forms for you to fill out, recollections of your time together, giving them specific examples that they can mention in the recommendations. These are all really, really important touch points for you. Don't get behind on this. If you're rushing your application requests in the fall, the teachers aren't going to have a whole lot of respect for you, and they're not going to be very happy because you're creating extra headache and work for them instead of planning ahead and thinking about how you can make their lives easier. You're dialed in on your activities. At this point, you're looking at senior year kind of end of arc leadership opportunities. Are you president, co-president, founder, vice president, whatever it might be? Are you maximizing your opportunities there? These are all important considerations and things I want you to think about as you're moving into senior year. Junior year academics matter. Your test prep, you've been preparing. Hopefully you've got a couple tests under your belt. You don't want to take too many, right? It's a Goldilocks zone, not too hot, not too cold. Ideally, we want to approach a college with maybe 3, maximum 4 tests available. If you're applying to a school that asks you to disclose all of your tests and you come in with like 7 or 8, that's just not a good look. It can backfire on you a little bit. So as we're heading into summer right now, you know what it is that you want to do for your major. You might not know what you want to do for the rest of your life, but you do know what you want to study. You've been researching schools. Maybe you've done some school visits. Maybe you're setting up school visits for the summer, but this is really the time when you start to lock in. You're doing data entry into the Common App. We're not writing any essays because the essay portion is not locked in until the Common App drops on August 1st. Now, Common App will often say, hey, we're using the same prompts. Schools will start to come out in May or June and say, okay, here are our supplement questions. But really, August 1, you have to open that your Common Application, click into the supplements. And then what I want you to do, and this is very important in August, I want you to go in and start doing the data entry on the supplements. Why? Because many schools have essay questions that are triggered by data entry. And what I can tell you is that you do not want to be the person on October 30th or 31st who is scrambling to write a couple 400-word essays because when you started doing data entry, it started populating new essays at you and you thought you were done, but hey, guess what? Surprise. Please don't be surprised. As we think about the summer, we're preparing. If we have to study for the SAT, we're ready for that. Some of you I know get a head start on your senior year classes because you know it's going to be busy and you start kind of pre-studying in a way. You don't need to do that. I think if that's what you want to do, then go ahead, but it's not required. Juniors, you want to try and clear as much of this off your plate as you can so that when August 1st hits, you're really locked in, you're ready to go on the Common Application. All of this is great, right? Juniors, particularly, you're going to hit senior year hard. Those grades really matter. We're going to be super locked in. We're going to be focused on the academics. We're going to be involved. We're going to be leading a lot of activities if that's your thing. So you want to be ready for that. But what does this look like in practice? Because it's all great for me to talk about generalities, but let me give you some examples. Some of you have been talking about a pivot, changing things. And what we want to do is think about, all right, what does that look like? Well, I had a student in Hong Kong, and they were a computer science major. They were quite good at it, quite frankly. And a lot of people are telling them, hey, listen, you should apply computer science. You'll be really good at it. You're coming from a good high school for it. And it's a sure track to Ivies. But the reality was this student was just not engaged by that. It just was not their passion. It was not something that they really wanted to invest heavily into anymore. They were burned out. They were tired. They were not enjoying themselves. And so when we started working together, they were a CS major and I could just tell there was a lot of resistance in there. And then one day over a very, very tear-filled call, they confessed, I don't want to do this. I want to be an international relations major. I want to move over to humanities. It's where my true interest lies. And so we had to build some consensus. We had to get the counselor on board at the school. We had to get the teachers on board. We had to get the parents on board. And what we were able to do is take something that this student really loved, which was helping empower women in Cambodia, where they traveled often, helping them build businesses. And they built these businesses through selling these unique peppers that were local to the region. And this was not a passion project. They built a really, really robust e-commerce site. They were on radio, television, podcasts, newspapers, giving interviews, holding talks, raising awareness, and eventually ended up partnering with a UN nonprofit. They gave a presentation at one of the UN assemblies. This is something where this was deeply meaningful for them. And really, they just kind of leaned in. They changed their class schedule, ended up getting into Penn early decision, and was a huge success story, but required a lot of hard work and effort. So I don't want you to think that a pivot is something easy that you can kind of skate through. It's something where you do really need to make the commitment, but if you do make that commitment, it's something that can really, really, really pay off for you. Another one was a student of mine, Ray. Ray, by the end of freshman year, had gotten good grades, but really a lot of it was luck and last minute scrambling. It was really a mess. And So we had a bit of a heart to heart. And I said, Ray, look, we're coming up on the end of freshman year. You've got exams coming. I don't think you're going to do particularly well. And it's time for you to gut check a little bit here. I know you're young. I know it's early in your high school career, but all you can talk about is the fact that you want to go to Harvard. And really, it's time for you to make a decision. If that's something you want to do, then we need tutoring. We need a commitment to studying. We need to develop this learning, love of learning and commitment to learning. And so he kind of went away and came back and said, yeah, you know what? You're right. Like, I see it. I see the path. So help me. What do I do? So we helped him get tutors. We helped him really kind of reorienting his attitude, had him work with some performance coaches that were around both his athletics and his mindset at school. And it really, really transformed him, not just as an athlete, but as a scholar, and really got him to view his scholarship as a critical component of his success and his life. And so that changed his whole approach. Sophomore year, he came in ready to go. He came in focused, and it paid off big dividends. Took his GPA up several points and put him on a track to be effectively and successfully recruited for his sport. And finally, by senior year, he was admitted to several Ivy schools for academics alone and 2 Ivies for athletics. And so that to me was just a huge win and a huge endorsement of his attitude and the discipline that he put into that. Third one, Jim. Jim came to me his junior year. It was a little bit late, junior year spring. And his parents had kind of put him into a couple of summer programs, like Wharton Finance Program and some Columbia Finance Program, like these little 2-week programs. And we had a bit of a talk, and I was like, hey, Jim, look, this is not going to work. You're not distinguishing yourself in any way. You've done some really interesting extracurricular activities, and you've done some pretty interesting things around what you want to do, trading and developing this this thesis of wanting to be this, equity portfolio manager. But the reality is you're just not standing out in any way. And so we talked about internships. We talked about the fact that he really loved the hospitality business and what that looked like for him, and the fact that most of his holdings in his personal portfolio were in hospitality and food service. And what we came away with was that he really liked the business of hospitality. And so we ended up getting him a job, helping him get a job in actually a restaurant group in food service industry. And he did everything. He worked back of house, front of house. He cleaned dirty dishes. He helped understand, or he did ordering, inventory management, was in there in the fridge, helping muck out, dirty refrigerators and get things ready, scrubbing down ovens and ranges at the end of a shift. And so what he was able to do is come away from that and earn the respect of his peers, and actually had a recommendation written by one of the back of the house team, not the head chef, not the sous chef, not the head of the restaurant group, not somebody fancy, but somebody he was just in the trenches with night in, night out, just commending his work ethic, the fact that he didn't complain, the fact that he always learned, the fact that he was always trying to think about ways to make things better. And it really shifted his perspective on what it took to run a successful restaurant. That yes, it's about the numbers. End of the day, it's a business, has to make money, but it was a lot about the people and processes. And by getting his hands dirty and cut and burned and scraped, he really learned a lot about how things actually work in the restaurant business, and took that to Cornell School of Hospitality Management, to a very, very bright career with now with an equity group that manages large holdings of hospitality assets. Finally, I want to talk about another summer shift, because sometimes we get juniors coming in and they're like, oh, it's spring. I already have my summer set, and I'm just going to see what happens. And that's a very, very dangerous approach, because nowadays, as we're coming off the 2025 application season, 24 to 25, we really saw there was just a lot of blood in the water, quite frankly. Academic excellence matters, but also depth of engagement. And let me give you a good example. I had a student who was interested in the Huntsman program. Huntsman program is Wharton Business undergrad and then International Relations in the College of Arts and Sciences. Very demanding, very exclusive program. And this young man was interested in real estate, and his language background was Japanese, because you need a language concentration to be in Huntsman. And he had just like a basic summer lined up. He was going to go do English immersion, live with a family, do English immersion classes for a couple weeks towards the end of the summer. And the beginning of the summer, he was just going to kind of goof around and do some internships. And I was like, look, Huntsman does not work like that. And so we worked together. We created some really interesting internships for him actually in Tokyo with a couple of large real estate groups. And so he got commercial real estate exposure. He got domestic real estate, like residential real estate exposure. He was working on job sites. He was working in boardrooms, carrying the briefcase for the chairperson of a very, very large real estate holding company. And he really got to understand what business is like in Japan, being conducted in Japanese in the real estate market. And he was able to write a really, really powerful application, an essay about why he really needed to do this international exposure, why it was much more important for him than just doing real estate in New York, for example. Ended up successfully being admitted to the Huntsman program and is just absolutely crushing it day in, day out at Penn. So what I really want to do here is let you know that it's very important. You can't just let the year close out without playing an active role in it. But even at this late date, there's a lot that you can do, and there's a lot that we can help you do. So I want you to please stay engaged with us on social media at AdmittedlyCo, Instagram and TikTok. Follow the podcast. If you have questions, if you have things that are concerning you, drop them in the comments. Send me a DM. I want to hear from you. It's very, very helpful to me. This podcast was born by a couple of conversations I'm having with students out there asking questions, realizing this is a need. So it's late, but it's not too late. You can have a material effect on your admissions chances by taking action now and not just passively sliding into summer and hoping for the best. Really appreciate following. I appreciate your feedback. Look forward to seeing you at our webinars and on social media. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Please take a moment to subscribe to the Admittedly podcast and download this episode. I welcome you to share your thoughts and questions with me. You can find us on social media at Admittedly Podcast. I look forward to continuing our journey